December 12th. That will give us 4 weeks to get it ready to submit to WASC on January 14th. We'd have provided more time, but we do want to incorporate the feedback. And so December 12th, it will be closed for comments at that point. The only other thing that I would very much appreciate if you could keep on your radar, on March 25th, as you know, the committee will be here March 25th through March 27th. We are creating the schedule right now, but on March 25th, from 3 to 4, will be the open forum for faculty, staff, and students. We would very much appreciate if you can keep that time available. They're going to want to hear from faculty, staff, and students, and we want them to hear from faculty, staff, and students. So we've kept that time certain, so we have as much time as possible to give you the time so you can keep that available if you have that ability. Uh, Thank you.
Oh. Yes.
If WASC has a component that is about academic freedom and if it's still there or they got rid of it.
That is still there. It's in section 1.
Okay.
And most of their components are linked on their federal guidelines. And so we have linked to our academic freedom policy.
Okay. And are we gonna fight for it?
Are we going to fight for academic? We hope so. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a
Thank you.
constitutional law scholar. I like academic freedom.
Thank you. I like that answer.
Additional questions?
Yeah, I just noticed that the link, it's seems to be just for individuals. I wondered if a department or a committee wanted to do like a group thing. Would it still just be the link or is there another way to do that? My department had talked about that.
Oh, that's a really good point. My suggestion, and it's just a suggestion because Stratcom created the link, if you could consolidate your comments and submit one form, that would be really useful. I should add, I'm really pleased we've had 38 forms already submitted in the last 5 days. Quite a few from students, so that's kind of exciting. Some from faculty, some from staff, one from a community member. So it's getting out there and we would appreciate as much feedback. And so if a department wants to provide department level feedback, that'd be fantastic. I don't think.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is right, let's not sacrifice feedback for the sense of sameness to go through the form. If the feedback, this is Brittany, hello. If the feedback doesn't fit well into the form, you can just email it to Madhavi in our office. The point of trying to organize it through the same submissions was so that when we give it to the entire kind of WASC review committee, that we can organize it as to here were the strengths to add, here were the challenges to add, here were the specific comments on the reflections, so that we've organized them thematically. So I would try to stick to that you can, but if it doesn't fit easily in a Google form, don't worry about that. You can email that to us directly. We had about 33,000 people open the WASC report to review after our last message, and we're sending reminders to the 18,000 or so that did not yet open it. And so if you're getting it, it's because we know you didn't open an email. We can't track your engagement beyond that, but we can at least see through your SDSU account, did you open the message? Because we really want to encourage everybody to take a look at it over the next month and a half. So thank you.
I have gotten emails from individual faculty members with, comments that they don't want to put in the form. And so that's absolutely fine.
So we get roughly 33,000 strong thoughts on the use of the Oxford comma, I'm sure, throughout the report.
Okay, next slide. We can skip a few of these slides. Next one. We're taking about 2.4% more this year. And next slide. Next one. And the graduate level is pretty flat. And next one, we want to make sure that we don't have a lot of graduate students numbers down next year because of international students facing interview scheduling in a lot of countries. And we had some students defer from fall to spring, and we're hoping that they are actually going to show up this spring. As you can see, nationally, this is a big dip, right, for a lot of our international students. Next one. These are some of the numbers for graduate admissions. About 196 admits, and intent to enroll is about 108. And hopefully they will all show up. Next. And for new graduate students, new students enrollment for spring, it's going to be really low. Spring, we don't admit a lot of students anyway, but these numbers will be quite low this coming spring. Next. This is something interesting, and we opened the new application for fall 2026 on October 1st. And within 13 days, we're already at 40,000 applications. Okay, so last year, as some of you know, we received 123,000 applications, and we're very popular, and we are already ahead compared to the same time previous year. About 20, I can't read that far, but about 20% up. And that doesn't mean that we're going to get more. Okay, it's too early to tell. Just in just 1 month now, we still have some more time to go. Next one. We are very happy to see the new student retention numbers, 92%. For transfers and first-year students, about 91%. So these numbers are really good. Next one. Just wanted to share this because last week at the GI 2025 conference in LA, all the CSUs were there. And the chancellor's office called out San Diego State to say that we have the biggest gain in terms of numbers from 2015 to 2024, 2020. So we have the biggest gain in terms of overall graduation rates. And also a number of different categories. So 62.6%. Can't read that far. Let me read my own printout. So this is the biggest jump among all the CSUs, and we're very proud of our results. And I want to thank all the faculty and staff who work really hard on these numbers. 62.2 jump from 49% between 2015 and 2021. Another number, next slide, that's really good is the new upper division transfers, 2-year graduation rates. They went from 55.7% to 62.2%. And that's a big jump also for us. Some schools, as you know, they're either flat or they even went down, right? So in spite of all our efforts in GI 2025. Next slide. I thought I'll give you a quick update on this. Some of you may have read about this in the paper. The new partnership with San Diego Community College District. And the MOU was signed last summer. A lot of reasons. Both parties wanted to participate in this, and as you know, that one of the major things is that between STEM admission and non-STEM admission, there are about 20 percentage point difference, right, for our San Diego district students coming in. And so we want to find a way to help them, but we also don't have enough space, right, on this campus. So they're gonna build the building in Mission Valley, and we will collaborate with them, and plus a lot of internship opportunities for the students, for our community college district students. So this is supporting regional workforce development and accelerating time to degrees and everything. As you may know, that especially for engineering majors, they arrive here, their major prep is not really good. So they ended up spending the first year taking courses that other community college students may have already taken, right? So that those are the issues we're trying to help with them. Okay, next one. And then we have another MOU signing more recently, and with Southwestern College. They built this university center, the lower picture on the right, that they're going to host quite a few universities, including us. So we will have some programs so that their students can take some of these classes, and also hopefully our overflow students can take those same classes, right? So it's mutually beneficial. And next slide, you will see some degree programs that different universities have selected. San Marcos have quite a few. SDSU will start with psychology, and UCSD with public health. And so this would be helpful for their students, our students, because as you know, a lot of our own SDSU students live in South Bay, right? So they can take some of these classes there more conveniently. So I'll stop here, and I want to, next slide. I want to spend a little bit of time, Stephen, is that okay, to answer some of the questions about advising I have last time? So I'm going to ask AVP Brooks and Vice Provost Sonia to give you a quick update.
Thank you. And Mario, did you get I had sent some slides, a PDF in the last 45 minutes to an hour. That's fine. While intrepid Mario Saldana is doing his job. Good afternoon, colleagues. Happy to support the provost and vice provost in providing some information responsive to questions from the Senate about advising. I don't have the questions immediately in front of me for recall, but what I did want to offer, and it's in this presentation, should it ever get to us, questions about advising are welcomed. There is an advising council established in the policy file. The advising council includes representatives from each college, all of them advisors, as well as from our colleagues in SACD who are doing an enormous amount of advising, as well as the registrar and leadership from SACD, my colleague Christine Molina here. Oh, there we go. There it is. Thank you, Mario. Appreciate it. And it's a PDF, so you can just scroll. Okay, so there's our members of our advising committee, council, sorry, we meet monthly. I encourage any concerns or questions about advising issues, please share them with your rep and we'll be happy to talk about them. One of the questions raised in the referral was about the outcomes of a fairly extensive self-study conducted and supported by Chancellor's Office funding to NACADA, which is the Professional Association of Academic Advisors. They came to campus and they helped our advising community reflect on where we are and where we need to go. AVPs, Brooks, that's me, Tim, Randy Tim in SACD, and Stefan Hyman, my colleague here, developed based on the outcomes of that report, final recommendations that were shared with VPs and deans and provided as well to the advising council this fall. You can see the outcomes here. This is a shot from the deck we use to talk to folks. If you want to just scroll one forward, I know this is a quick read. You'll see them again. They're here. I just want to provide a status update as to where these are effective November 2025. I'll just give everyone a chance to read it.
We'll also happily send this out to all the staff.
Of course, yeah. Okay, mindful of time and knowing that y'all will have a chance to refer back to it, highlights. There is active endeavor going on to look at many of the issues raised in the self-study outcomes. Next slide, you can scroll down. Workload is a fixture on advising council agendas. There are steps the campus has already taken over the last few years and just even in recent months to work through challenges raised by advisors. One of them is, after our campus transition from web portal to my SDSU, a number of roadblocks and choke points for students who required registration memos to get into some classes, and advisors were expected to sign them and generate them. That was identified. And curricular changes responsive to alleviate some of those reg memo choke points were implemented through shared governance over the past few years. And so those have been alleviated. And that's how a lot of this work goes, piece by piece, step by step, identifying roadblocks and then working through shared governance to address them. We've also been working with the advising community and want to celebrate colleges who are trying to alleviate workloads for their advisors by implementing best practices, including supporting alternatives to one-to-one meetings. Not every student question necessarily needs to go to a one-to-one meeting. A lot of things are, College of Sciences, for example, has amazing peer mentoring models and workshops that help students get answers that they feel they need to speak to an advisor about, but in reality are pretty close to resolving for themselves with a little support. Many colleges have also worked to reduce or eliminate advisor responsibilities for study abroad advising, which were generating a lot of one-on-one demand and traffic and workload. And the campus has also stood up a student success help desk located in faculty advancement and student success with a dedicated chatbot based on only SDSU materials, not a web scraper, that answers the desk answers about a dozen queries a day from students who can't reach their advisor or don't know where to go. It's a peer mentoring setup, but it also runs broad campaigns that help alleviate advisor workload in the colleges. So the desk does all the outreach to under-enrolled students, to not yet enrolled students, et cetera. Next page, please. All right, and so coming up on the agenda for Advising Council, just to let y'all know, these are priorities. We continue to support dialogue amongst advisors and advising leads in the colleges about when one-to-one advisor meetings are the best approach. I've included here with, thanks to my colleagues who are in the field of counseling and school psychology, a model of best practices from their professional association that shows that really when you're thinking about a public health approach to serving a large population of students, really it's only a minority of students who can feasibly seen within resource constraints on a one-to-one basis, and that workshops and curricular supports like we do in our Gen S 100 are actually best practices. So we want to keep talking with folks in colleges where they continue to feel that mandatory one-to-one advisor meetings as a requirement are best practices, and understand and continue dialogue and see if we can alleviate that pressure just a little bit. Most colleges don't recommend. I want to acknowledge that some colleges do, especially including PSFA. And finally, we're also working presently to clean up permissions and campaigns at EAB Navigate, which is an amazing advising platform that was implemented in the last 5 years with great leadership from Amanda Fuller and many others. And we're trying to clean up that space to help EAB Navigate. It's become a great channel for broadcasting all kinds of invitations to campus events. We want to keep it as sort of a bat phone for advisors so that when they need to reach a student, they can be heard. Those are a few of the initiatives we're working on. Happy, Sonia, Vice Provost, if you have anything I missed. I think that's the last slide. Happy to take additional feedback as time permits. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you, AVP Brooks. We appreciate you. So I just wanted to, I work in PSFA, so I kind of wanted to address the one-on-one advising. And what our research shows is that I am in the School of Communication getting my students to four-year graduation at higher rates. The other thing that I wanted to mention that wasn't addressed here is with regard to the CCAs and how we might redistribute some of our workload amongst the CCAs. I think that might be a good solution versus talking about maybe, you know, hiring more coordinated care advisors or more advisors. I think we can do what we need to do with the existing advising staff we have. I think it may be just a matter of, you know, reallocating some of those resources. And I didn't see that here. Also, I wanted to talk about the compensation and you know, the pay equity and the income parity, because that's a real thing and a real situation that we're facing. And so I see that it's in the works, but it would be great to get, you know, some type of clarity on when we can expect to hear back from HR, if it's 6 months, a year, because that's a real pain point for us as well. Thank you.
And I'll address, if appropriate, some of those comments. So thank you to those of you who've brought the questions to this body, and the working group that I, along with AVP Brooks and Stefan and the Hyman and the deans, were looking at some of those structural things to include the balance of the CCAs and what that workload could look like, as well as some of the balancing and redistribution of both work but communication across those. So what systems can we put in place to do that? So we have Christine Molina and Randy Tim are also sitting on that working group so that we can look at some of those structural needs. And I would expect that we would receive an update from HR before the end of the semester on our request to review compensation.
I like to address the advising in the smaller major departments. And as you know, I've been an advisor, but I'm retired, and my department cannot get somebody else to commit to that. So it's probably going to be done by my chair as an overload, just as additional work. I looked within the sciences and I noticed that was the case at 2 other departments, and we have like 6 small departments, and for half it's an overload, which is not a good situation for the students. I know there has been talk about moving more of this advisor to the advisor centers, like it's structured in engineering, where faculty only come in, you know, as their servers when the faculty are really needed. So I just want to bring that up, that it's more and more of an issue finding faculty, tenure track faculty willing to do the full load of major advising.
And definitely appreciate that comment. And that's something we're working with in that working group to also, how do we set up systems? And ideally that there's some, we want every college and every department to have the ability to make decisions about how their advising looks. At the same time, from a student perspective, we'd like to see some consistency so that if they change majors, they know that they're getting the same type of general support. So we're working with the deans and other groups, learning what CCAs do, how do we want to rebalance that? And so some of what we're doing right now is looking at those individual advising ratios. And one of the updates you'll see is that ACER is working on some dashboards for us so that we can continue to have the data as well as the wealth of information. So thank you to all advisors and everybody on the team who contributed to the NACADA report, because that's really what we're using, is that self-study to help us continue to ask questions and reflect on what our practices are, and looking to get staff support and advising happening across small programs as well.
Good. Okay, thanks. I saw the public health approach, and I don't know if that's a good way to approach it because if I go to my doctor, I have something wrong, and they're gonna send me to a specialist or do something. But advisors are about building connections with students. Basically, sometimes they confide in them and something happening. So we do need the one-on-one, from my perspective, as much as possible, and we need them there to continue with them so that they could graduate on time, they have a good experience, especially that now we're moving into the AI world. The advantage that we have in university is the face-to-face, and if we don't have that, we're really like losing some of our power or some of our attractiveness as an institution. So from that perspective, I just think maybe consider options.
And all of that is on the table. I think we're also trying to work to define what is mentoring. So what type of support would you want one-on-one support working with faculty versus how do we remove structural barriers and access the information that right now is happening in a one-on-one appointment when there could be information provided in a more digestible resource for students. And so I don't think we're thinking of them as mutually exclusive. And I would say that kind of inverted triangle. Another term that we use is a multi-tiered system. And so for those of you in educational research, the idea that we want to get the information to everybody, but recognizing different people are going to need, and you may bounce around in that triangle depending on what your question is. So some people are going to want more individualized support and research. Other students are going to want more individualized support in class selection. And so the idea is that you can get that in various places, but we're trying to do it as a multi-tiered approach. So in addition to the students will have access to the digital degree planners, which we're hoping by having that digital information, they would need less individual support to read their course maps. And so we're looking at, yes, to answer your question, is we do want students to be able to get the individualized attention for the things the students wanted, not because we haven't provided them the information that they need.
Any additional questions for our three presenters?
Thanks. I have one to the provost. It's wonderful to see that we are growing and growing. Those numbers are great. At the same time, there's a hiring freeze. So I'm wondering what the administration thinks in terms of opening the hiring up again, maybe rechanneling some of the resources or some of the monies that might be floating around, because we can't teach bigger classes really. I mean, it's getting untenable, I think, for a lot of the faculty members. Thank you.
Yeah, that could be a future topic to talk about in detail. But yes, I've been talking to the CFO and the president about potentially restarting hiring next year. Okay, depends on how many lines and how and we can do this. And definitely, I don't want another year of chill. Okay, so we're working on that.
So my question is not about advising about SDS, Student Disability Services. Their office hours are the examination accommodation is limited by 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. something. If some classes are being taught after 6 p.m. or 5:30 p.m., their exams are to be held before 4 p.m. or something. Otherwise, how it will be managed? Because if we have enrollment increase, and then students are going to accommodation center and they cannot be operating beyond 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. something. I'm forgetting the time. So therefore, one of my students has to start the exam 4 p.m. Now, how I'll manage the exam with the rest of the students? Let's say somebody has 7 p.m. class. How you will manage it? They have to create 2 exam papers. So can we not extend the SDS time a bit longer so that can be managed well? Thank you.
And Satish, are you asking about the SDS center or the testing accommodation center?
Testing accommodation center.
So we are continuing to work with our colleagues. So if any faculty are struggling to have the testing accommodation center open when you're offering exams, please reach out, because we've been partnering with our colleagues in SACD to make sure that we're meeting that demand. Also recognizing that on Saturdays, there's some of you who offer exams. That's not their standard operating hours, but if an exam is being offered, we're working to make sure that that the center is open. So if you're running into any concerns, please work with your associate deans, share that with them, who will then share it with me, and we'll make sure we can get the center open when you all are offering exams. Assuming you are offering exams when they're published in the scheduling book and or on your syllabus.
I have a very simple arithmetic question. On the slides presented, you had numbers for not Pell Grant recipients and no Pell Grants. They didn't add up to 100%. So
The Pell Grants. See it.
very simple arithmetic.
I think is referring to the enrollment data and why the percentage on Pell and non-Pell are not adding up. Oh, those were without seeing the slide, I wasn't feeling like I could answer that math question. Apologies. But AVP Hyman is saying that those were graduation rates, not percentages of students who were receiving that. So that was looking at graduation rates per each of those categories.
May, the retention rates are wonderful. I was wondering if there's any attempts or if it's even worth our while to try to track the roughly 8% that aren't coming back. Is it academic reasons? Is it non-academic? Is it a combination of both?
It's a whole lot of people looking at that. I'm going to get this to AVP Brooks.
Really happy to report that in close collaboration, we have a campus-wide collaboration of faculty, staff looking at these numbers very closely. Acer is doing an excellent job. I want to also highlight Assistant Dean Preciado's leadership. I can tell you that we are tracking on a line-by-line basis our most vulnerable or precarious student populations. And some of them are getting weekly calls and text outreach from student peer mentors. So the data is richer than I've ever seen. And really, I don't know of any other campus that's doing this very, very detailed work like this campus-wide collaborative has undertaken. So thanks for the question.
Fantastic. One more, if I may. You said international students dropped in the United States in August. So to me, that means probably a loss of revenue for fall admissions. I'm wondering if in the spring, if any efforts of catch-up could be made.
The answer is yes. Thank you. The answer is yes. We've been trying to work with students. One of the biggest challenges for our international students who were expecting this past fall was their inability to be able to obtain a visa. The State Department shut down the visa appointment system for about 3 weeks, and large countries that had a lot of backlogs like India never wound up getting caught up. So we were very flexible with offering students deferrals to the spring semester. We'll ultimately see in a few weeks how many of them are actually here or not, but we've tried to be as flexible as we can be. Appreciate the question.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. This is my last follow-up. With regard to the, you mentioned the working group. Or maybe it wasn't the working group because we have the ACM, but you also mentioned this. Was it the working group? Okay, the working group. Are there any academic advisors on the working group?
Given that the report was to, well, that is doing funny stuff. All right, I think I'm holding in the right spot. Given the reports coming from NACADA, it was really digesting that and how do we work on removing some of the structural barriers. Those and recommendations will be going back to the advising council before any decisions are made. What we're working through is how do we set up systems for communication? So using what the number of advisors who gave us all of the data in the NACADA report, what do we need to do to create better communication across academic affairs and student affairs and campus diversity so the CCAs and academic advisors can communicate? How do we need to think how the deans are shepherding the advising process and how they can communicate better with colleagues in SACD. So those are really our action items, is taking the great information, everybody who worked on the Nakata report, the self-study, and putting those into action. So at this point, no, there are no advisors on that group. It's deans and AVPs across the two divisions.
Okay, I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Please.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to thank all the AVPs and provost as well for that discussion around advising. So this topic I solicited from SEC members questions of broad interest, and we'll be discussing those questions sort of as they came in at our next SEC, and we'll be providing sort of some selected topics for the provost to present upon in addition to the usual metrics in the future. And we'll be expanding that to the Senate body as well. So if there are particular questions that you have, we're happy to receive those and sort of digest them a bit in SEC so we can come in with some background information as was presented here. Okay.